Hi everyone, today I want to talk to you about tabs. One of the things that is really helpful here in Office is using the tabs, and it is a little confusing, so I want to show you today a little bit about the tabs. In the top left hand corner right below the ribbon, you will see that there is this icon. It looks like the letter L, and that is the on-screen access to accessing tabs. And we look at that icon and it represents the left tab, and if I click on that square it will change to a center tab, and if I'm not really sure which tab that is, I can also hover over that and I'll get the screen tip. I'll click it again, I'll see the right tab. I'll click it again, there will be a decimal tab. Click it one more time. This is the bar tab. Click it again, we see a first line indent. Click one more time, this is our hanging indent. Okay, I click one more time again and it brings me back to the beginning. So that is where our tabs are located on our screen. Now, sometimes by default, it really depends on how your office is set up. But if by chance you don't see your rulers and you don't see these icons, you need to make sure you go to the View tab, and where under the Show button, make sure that the ruler is checked off. So if I uncheck the ruler, that is not visible anymore, but because I had the ruler visible, I was able to see that, so I'll click it back on. So in that case, make sure that you can see your tabs. Now, another way to access your tabs is to go to the back to our home tab, and on our home ribbon here in our paragraph group, if I click on the dialog box launcher, that will launch all my paragraph settings. And this is something that is really kind of, if you don't know where it is, it's really hard to find. You'll notice in this paragraph group in the bottom left hand corner there is an option for tabs. So this is another way of accessing the tabs. So if I were to click on this button here, I could actually create some tab stop positions. So I'm going to show you both ways of creating tabs. The first way is, since we have this dialog box open, I'm going to show you using the tabs box within the paragraph group, or and also I'm going to show you using by simply clicking and dragging. But for example, you can see where my cursor is currently at next to your name. I actually want to place my tab down here in this area down below where it says trip, date, and cost. So I'm simply going to click right to, it's not going to let me, so let me hit the cancel button, and I'll click right next to the left of the D in date. Okay, I'm going to go back to the paragraph group, click on tabs, that brings up that box. So I want to say, we'll say first I want to put a tab stop at 2, at the 2-inch mark. So I simply say 2, I specify the type of alignment that I want. In this case, I don't want any leaders. I do have to say set. If I don't say set, it's not going to place it in there. I want to put another one in, so we'll put another one in at 4, and then again I'll say set. So now when I hit the OK button, you're going to see that I'm now going to have tab markers on my ruler, and there are those tab markers that I was talking about. So remember, I placed my cursor to the left of the D, and that was before doing anything else, before creating the tabs. By simply clicking on the tab key on my keyboard, I click it once and it's automatically going to go to that first 2-inch mark. I click to the left of the C in cost, hit my tab key on my keyboard, and I am at the 4-inch mark. Okay, so that's one way of setting up the tabs. Another way of setting up the tabs is by using the clicking on these items over here, these little icons, and then simply placing them on the ruler. So if I were to click down in this area here, you notice I have 4 lines with different information. We can see here there's a trip destinations, and we have some dates, and we also have a cost. Okay, so if I were to click to the left of the O in October, I could align these all up. Okay, but that's not what I want to do. So I want to create additional. So I'm going to select all 4 of those lines, and I simply typed in that information. By selecting that group of of information here, I can now place left markers. So if I wanted my first left indent, or I'm sorry, my first left tab to be here, and I can place another one at 1.5 and at 3.5. Now I'm just going to simply click, and I'm going to drag my mouse to bring it back a smidge. Now with that selected, I can now click to the left of the O in October and hit my tab once. Okay, go to the $sign, hit my tab again, and you can see that it's aligning up on these. Now you'll notice it's not really moving too much, but I'm going to place these in here, and I'm going to show you how we can actually edit that. Okay, so I have those in there, and I see it's not really exactly what I want. So again, I'm going to select everything, my 4 lines, and I'm simply going to click and drag that over. Okay, now what I accidentally did was added an additional tab, and that's not what I want to do. So I'm going to click on the tab that I want and pull it off the ruler. I'll go back to my original tab. I'm going to drag it over. Okay, and I'm going to click on this one tab here. I'm going to pull it off. Okay, sometimes it takes a little bit of practice. Okay, so you can see how I lined those up. Now I'm looking at this, and I notice that the October, the O in the October is not lined up, and that's because, and if I put on my show hide button, I'm going to see I have a little space right there. So I'm simply going to click to the left of the O, do a backspace, and now they line up perfectly. I notice that my cost is really offset, so again I'm going to select these lines, and I'm simply going to go up to my ruler, and I'm going to drag it all the way over, and I'm eyeballing it. I'm simply going to eyeball it using that guide that we have there. So I don't want it quite at 4. Okay, so I'm simply going to release my mouse. I click anywhere to deselect, and that's working with your tabs.